So, trying to look out for another list for the Cam's Bridge Too Far. I've gone for a 1941 Italian, based round, it could be Africa, war in Africa. All the units are there. So what we've got is we've got a second lieutenant at the front. We've got a medium mortar, got a truck. We've got a sniper team. We've got 2 paratroop units, a flame thrower, medium howitzer, 2 regular infantry units, a 1440 and an L640. All regulars with the exception of the officer and the parachutists who are veterans. So that's the Italians for this evening. 1,000 points, as I say, it's a Cambridge Too Far test. Take it away.
Well, you ready? Right, we're trying the French again. Mine's more 1940 list, really. Didn't have much after 1940 anyway. Firstly, these guys over here, they're actually not part of the army. They're going to be substituting for the horses if they try to dismount. But it is a tank platoon. We've gone for 2 units of veteran cavalry, which is interesting on the flanks and for holding positions, etc. You can only have 3 units of infantry in a tank platoon with the French. So I've gone for the Singhalese. They're on regular with their little armoured, fully enclosed armoured personnel carrier with a light machine gun. The 3 medium anti-tank at the back. Then I managed to get in a light artillery piece. Each of those, of course, being a tank platoon, needs 2 tractors. So we've gone for the cheapest we can, 2 inexperienced tractors. And then the vehicles at the back, we've got the command vehicle, the Renault RT17 with light anti-tank and pitifully slow. He's got a little friend with him, also an RT17 with medium machine gun. Then we've got the Shah B with light anti-tank, light howitzer and medium machine gun in the hull. And then a 9 all-round armour, which is great, but also slow. And then the Renault R40 with a light anti-tank, 8 all-round and machine gun in the hull. And because I need transport for my medium machine gun team, I've got my little car there, which is substituting for that. So, 1,000 points.
Oh, well, that's quite good, isn't it?
Mm.
Yeah, brilliant for the eccentric man, and it's another Cam's Bridge Too Far practice tonight, playing against Colin, Full Metal Monty.
Oh, absolutely.
And we've rolled up for point defence, and although Colin won the roll-off, he decided he'd like to try attacking with his French. So my Italians have gone into defensive positions, set out the objectives. You got 1 up there, 1 in the middle with the readout, 1 down here. As you can tell, I only rolled a 1 for my defences. I've chosen this side of the table. It's got a little bit more protection and cover. Other side's a bit more open. We had a quick look at my video from last year of Cam's Bridge Too Far, where I did the pictures of the tables, and they're a bit more sparse than we normally play. I think they could have been because there was at least 79 tables there, so they had quite a lot to try and cover with scenery. But this should be okay. We're going to run it from here. So, yeah. What are we saying? Block line of sight, or do they just do cover those clumps of trees?
I think block line of sight is probably easier.
Block line of sight?
Yeah.
Okie dokie, so they block line of sight. Ruins, see through, or block line of sight?
I prefer block line of sight, but how do they normally play them?
You can play it as you like at the beginning of the game when you decide with your partner.
Well, shall we say the ruins don't block line of sight if you can see it? Don't know.
So that's different, yeah. So because in the book it says dense terrain can block line of sight.
Well, let's call it blocking line of sight. I think it's
okay,
a fairer way.
we'll run that for blocking line of sight. This side of the table, not much on here. Bits of trees, and another ruin there, and the houses. These will be counted as houses as opposed to ruins, I would believe, because at least they've got a complete ground floor. So that's it. I've got to deploy half of my force, at least half my force, and Colin, I think he's got to do at least half.
No, I just got to decide.
I can't remember what it says in the book. We'll have to have a quick nose.
Attacker goes, I think.
Well, I didn't get many defences, just the 1. So that was the one in the centre. So I thought what I would do is to stick my howitzer in there with the lieutenants that could come on and help keep that one captured. To the left I thought I would put in a number of troops close by it, so that the mortar could run to it, 2 infantry units could run to it. For reserve I had the 2 units of paratroopers and the L640, because that can come on, no leadership test to move and fire, just the leadership test to bring it on the table. So I don't know whether I win or lose anything there. But yeah, that was going to be a reserve. And on the far right I thought I would put my 1440 there. It's got quite a good lot of shooting power with the 3 medium machine guns, 1 in the turret and 2 in the hull. So it gives me 15 dice with that. Only a light anti-tank. That is something which is I'm a bit lacking in this list. I've got the light auto cannon on the small tank, the light anti-tank gun on the 1440, and then the medium howitzer and the mortar. And that is my anti-tank capability. I've gone for not very many small squads, so I've got the sniper team and the officer team, and that's probably about my smallest 2 teams. I'm trying to keep the loss of dice to a minimum, because the Avanti Savari rule can be really crippling to it. So that was my thoughts. Have a couple of units that can go either left or right to the objectives there. They're captured, so the opponent's got to come, kick my people off, have nobody there at the end of the turn to be able to capture it for them. And I thought it was going to be, should be okay. And obviously Colin with his troops are going to go into outflank, I would hazard a guess, but I'm not sure which flank he was going to go for with his outflanking. So that was my theory. Let's see if it pans out. So we rolled for the preliminary bombardment, and it came in, and Colin rolled a 6 for his first one, and that was a hit. But fortunately he rolled a 1 for the damage. So I got 2 pins. 2 pins on the mortar observer, 1 pin on the medium howitzer. It missed the regular infantry. It got 2 pins on the mortar team, 1 pin on the infantry there. They're burstology, but they're only going to be regular infantry in this one. And my sniper in the building got 1 pin. So not too bad, got away with that quite lightly. Very lucky not to lose my little tank on that side. Ignore the beer bottle. That was mine. Colin's on the light looks like lemon juice. So, end of turn 1. I rallied the 1440, so that's okay. Colin's brought on his light anti-tank gun. Not quite sure what that one is. That could be a medium anti-tank gun or a medium howitzer. Not quite sure. But that's they both run on. In the middle he's brought on his it's his R40, isn't it? So yeah, an R40. So that came on. That took a shot at the sniper in the building here, because the sniper had taken a shot at his machine gun team that had jumped out of the car and set up in the ruins. On this far corner he's brought on his Char B1 and his 17, and the Char B1 took a shot at my mortar team and missed. That was quite lucky. The mortar team was fired at the artillery piece, needed rolling to get a 6, didn't get it, so 5 next turn. Quite a bit off table. Moved the infantry unit, they're there, but they are actually in the bottom floor of the house. Colin did a nice little move to put the machine gun there, so if I come out into the open I'm going to get shot. So we'll have to see how we can operate that way. So that was the end of turn 1. And turn 2, reserves can come on. I know Colin's got quite a bit in outflank, so that's a bit of a risk. Cavalry, an armoured transport, 2 units of cavalry, and he might even have another tank or an armoured car off board. Out of turn 2, and we've had a few bits of shooting. Nothing really horrendous from the French, apart from they did put extra pins on my sniper, so I had to put them onto rally. The squad of Italians in the building took a sneaky shot at the machine gun team, and I managed to kill 2 because they're veterans, and I rolled 2 hits and rolled 2 5s for them, so that was quite good. So they're down to 1 man and 1 pin, so that was useful. The tanks on the far side have run. Well, when I say run, the 17 went 6 and the Charby went 12. So he's getting a bit closer to take a pop at my mortar team. I've brought on the flamethrower team from reserve, just in case they are able to get in a position to get a bit of a burst on a tank. We'll see. Moved the unit behind the house there to put them on ambush. They weren't going to do anything. Fired the artillery piece at the little tanky and managed to put 1 pin on it. Hit it, didn't penetrate it sadly, but did put a pin, so that was okay. These 2 took punts at my medium hard howitzer. Didn't get the numbers required. I think, what do they need? 5s next turn?
Both on 5s.
Both these on 5s next turn.
Yep.
And I advanced up the 1440 on the right flank, just to see what we can do. We're moving into turn 3, and reserves in the form of outflanking can come on. So we'll see where Colin, what side he has decided to come in on. So we'll see. So moving into turn 3. So end of turn 3, and I had to really commit my reserves, which was a bit early. The first parachute squad came on, took a shot at the Tyralliers, didn't do enough, killed 2 of them. So brought on the second squad, and that killed 4. So just leave them to 1 man, and he passed his leadership test. They are now a bit of a risk. The armoured car here has got a machine gun, so that could cause problems. The Charby one is still up and running. It's a nasty bit of kit, this one, with the Charby one, when you look at it. It came forward, passed its 1-man turret test, and what it did was targeted the unit behind the house with its light howitzer. The machine gun targeted the flamethrower, and the light howitzer, the light anti-tank targeted the mortar, and the light anti-tank's got a 1-inch HE, so it's a real nuisance. So I had to put the flamethrower team down, and then the unit at the back down. So Colin did miss them, but he did kill another man on the mortar team and added on another pin. So that was a bit of a pain. So they've got 2 pins, the mortar team. Yeah, what a bit of a problem. The unit in the house took a shot at the machine gun guy. He failed to hit them. He went down, so I failed to hit. Collins moved up the RT-17. I brought on my L640. 2 shots, needing a 5. Missed the RT-17. The RT-17 passed the leadership test and moved forward. Took a pop. Hit it on a 5. Penetrated on a 6. And blew it up on a 4. Terrible. Cavalry were brought on as a flanking force, but Collins sort of thought about it, and he thinks, no, I'll stick them out of the way and let the tanks deal with this flank. I haven't really got very much armour over here. Well, I haven't got any armour over here at all. So the Charby one has really got free range apart from the flamethrower, and he's a little bit risky at the moment. So that's there. The little R40 passed its leadership test, took a punt at the gun in the redoubt, didn't do any damage. That fired at the tank, didn't hit it. The mortar hit the medium anti-tank on the far side, and killed that. Forgetting that I didn't have a machine gun on the truck, I brought it on to try and counter the cavalry that came on the flank this side. My little tanky there is protecting that objective, so he didn't want to come and play with that one. But there is another RT-17 off board, but I think from what Colin's been saying, it's going to come on this side, so there's quite a lot of armour coming on. So end of turn 3, yeah, interesting. It's going to be quite hard, I think, still for Colin to take 2 objectives. We'll see how we go as we go into turn 4, and that was a pretty interesting turn, where it swung for the French and then it swung for the Italians. We'll go through over on this side first. The little RT-17 came on and duffed the paratroopers after they had been. What else had hit them?
Not quite sure actually.
Oh, I can't remember.
No, I can't remember. Something killed 2 of them.
Yeah, something killed 2.
The little RT. The little RT hit.
Oh yeah, that was it. That little RT hit them.
Both RTs. Yeah.
And the other RT hit them. And they vaporised with the kills. Yeah, so they lost. I charged the other unit of paratroopers into the little armoured car for a bit of fisticuffs, and I managed to stun it and put it in a down order. The little Tiralia there, foobarred, which could have helped. Well, if he hadn't foobarred, he could have kept the truck alive. But in the end he didn't, so I was closer to it because I got people right against it, so the truck dice goes. However, during that turn, I went down once that parachute unit went, and then Colin got rid of the. It was a flamethrower this turn, wasn't it? In turn 4, flamethrower went as well, because that Char B1 is awful.
It is.
So he machine gunned that, and also my mortar team went from it. So it's a real nasty piece of work if you haven't got anything to kill it or to put pins on it. So I went down 3 dice, which was a real grim bit, because I really needed to react with the gun over here to shoot at his cavalry, which are now behind the bush. So I had to rely on the sniper taking out the machine gun team, and fortunately he did. So that put me back up to proper dice, so I didn't have to take the -2 for leadership test, because otherwise the artillery piece there would have been a -3. So that was lucky. It got me back up to on par with the dice. I advanced the officer, ran the officer out of the house, so get him within 6, and the artillery piece passed its leadership test. Fortunately, Colin's little tank there had missed, because if he had put some more pins on, that would have been really tricky. So Colin had his cavalry up by the bush, and he had the decision to make whether he stood for the artillery piece to hit on a 3 and then a 3-inch template, or escape away. So we read the escape moves, and he would have had to have finished behind cover, so he went back behind the bush. Unfortunately, that meant I could move up the 1440, and the unit of, how many were there? 6.
There were 6 there, yeah.
6 with the 15 machine gun shots, whittled them down to 4. So that was quite a useful move for me, but it could have been really bad if I hadn't have taken that little sniper shot. So that was quite a pivotal point. Still over here, Colin has moved his cavalry round, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them. This objective is really wide open, but I think it's going to struggle to get this objective, and probably that one's pretty safe. But we'll go into turn 5 and see where we go. Into turn 5, and the French cavalry have taken this objective. The little RT-17, and passed its leadership test, came round and took a pop at the parachutists, who went down, and they lost 1 man. In fact, they lost 2 men, didn't they?
2, I think, yeah.
2 and a pin. So yeah, there. The little Algerian, not very happy, even with the command tank near to him. He failed his leadership test again and went down. The little RT-17 came up, took a pop, and hit my Italians.
again.
and again, and because and took some people out.
2 people, I think.
2 people out, and then the Shah-B came up. And although I was down with them because I failed my leadership test, I lost another 2
Yeah.
through the tank. So we're down, and we've got 3 pins there. So I think they're taken out of the game, really. The sniper, who was an ambush, failed to hit the cavalry. The little tank there
He's got 3 pins on it.
has got 3 pins because he was hit
much.
by the artillery piece after Colin's tank little.
Yeah. Well, artillery piece that's ranged in, hitting on a 2+.
Is that a medium artillery?
Medium tank. So it's HE1.
Can actually do
Lobbing, I don't know.
lobbing. I don't think it can.
No, I don't know. I don't think it can then.
Has it got on the army thing? It should have a minimum range for lobbings. So I don't know. So we'll have to have a look at that. Medium howitzer is good, but I don't know if the medium anti-tank gun can do lobbing.
No.
But anyway, we'll check that.
Logical, does it?
No, we'll check that anyway. So the little tanky came out here because Colin moved up his cavalry, and the 15 shots from the 3 machine guns wiped them out.
No, it hasn't.
No.
No,
Right.
you can't. So that's fine.
Okay. So the little guys here, they took some. We're going to take some shots by this tank before it got the 3 pins, and I went down just to keep them alive, but did lose 2 men.
Yeah.
So I need a pin there, don't I?
Yeah, he's got 1 pin.
So we got 1 pin. So yeah, that's the end of turn 5. End of turn 6, and the French cavalry have killed the infantry unit. They had been forced to go down. They are down as well. So they killed the infantry squad. I couldn't use a sniper because they were within 12 inches of him. Fortunately, the little officer took a shot, killed one, and put 1 pin on. So that's useful. The artillery gun put another pin on the R40, so that's got 3 pins again now. We did have a look, and the medium anti-tank gun can't do lobs, so we put my 2 men back on the cannon. Just direct fire with that one. We'd forgotten those things. Over here, the 2 tanks advanced up just to put pressure on. The Senegalese passed his leadership test and has run forward to keep the objective clear. So the French have got the objective on that side. The R17 is hemming the little unit of paratroopers in and removing one every time, the machine guns. So they're possibly survive to the end of the turn. Dice-wise, it's 4 French dice out and 5 Italian dice out. So pretty close. So we're going to see if there's another turn. So 4, 5 or 6, we go into turn 7.
Ready then?
Yep, we're ready. Yep, we'll go into turn 7. So it was mathematically possible for Colin to actually win this if he could take out the artillery piece and the officers. It was a hard one, but he managed to get a shot from the little tanky there to fire at the artillery piece, but didn't hit.
No.
His Char B, that of the multi weapons, got a hit with the light howitzer, which is really interesting. We were looking at the pin side, and it does D3 pins, the same as a medium medium howitzer.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting. So it put 3 pins on me. With the dice that he had collected this turn, because he took out the paratroopers on the far end, it took him up 3 above my dice, so I went down leadership by 2, which meant that this little tank would have needed, it would have been a -5 on its leadership. It would have needed to pass a 4 to do anything, and then it still have 2 pins on it. So that had took that out quite nicely. So yeah, didn't manage to do the mathematical sums.
No.
So the Italians managed to keep the 2 objectives. I think, in hindsight, Colin probably loaded one flank too heavy.
Yeah,
And certainly did annihilate that right hand flank. Well, the left hand flank of mine and his right. So just didn't have enough at the end to get the centre objective. So yeah, but it was a really fun game, really good game. And again, we learnt a few things as we went through, so that was good.
Yeah.
So righto. Let's move on to the summings ups.
Well, yeah, that went about as good as I thought it was going to go. It did get a bit close in the centre. There was that faint chance that he could actually win it. Yeah, we come to the conclusion that he overloaded his flank on the right, my left, with too many troops. He didn't bring anything down the centre to threaten that centre objective, apart from that one small tank and the 2 artillery pieces. Yeah, so there was nothing really that was going to affect the infantry on that side. In hindsight, for myself, I think I probably went a bit light with that one tank on that objective. I mean, I've only got to keep 2 objectives, but it was quite close. 1 each, and it would have been a draw, of course. So yeah, it's an interesting scenario, and I changed my list up to include the 2 parachute units and a flamethrower. Dropped the Semavent, which is the medium anti-tank, to have those 2 troops, well, those 3 troops, and the medium howitzer, and I think it worked quite well. I'll have another go with this list and see how it works. I did pay the penalties for Avanti Savari right at the end of the game, but fortunately it hadn't made too much of a problem there. But there was that dodgy moment, sort of 2/3 way the game, where I had to scrape one back just to be able to activate the medium howitzer, which then threatened the cavalry. If I hadn't been able to do that, then I probably would have lost that objective on the right with those cavalry, probably. So yeah, interesting game. We shall see how the Italians fare again. I still worry about in the tournament. I know it's I'm taking up the early war challenge, but it's like tying both your arms behind your back, I think, taking the Italians and a 1941 list. But hey ho, that's how it goes. We'll give it another run out, and we've got a little bit of time to make our minds up on what we take. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Please stick any comments down below. Any thoughts on the lists and the tactics, and we'll answer them and get back to you. Give it a like if you did. Please share and subscribe if you haven't. Thanks very much. See you soon.